Hey guys, it's me, Shaw360. I'm a little tilted here. I'm just checking in. Just checking in. I don't have any plans for what it is I'm gonna say now. I don't have any plans for how long I'm gonna be on. I don't have plans at all. Um, I think, like most people that I know, I'm trying to actively avoid looking at any poll results right now. I'm going to do the same thing I did in 2016. I'm just going to go to bed and then wake up, and whatever has happened will have happened. I usually vote early for presidential elections. Hello, Lix Bricks. I normally vote early for presidential elections, so I very rarely, if ever, vote on election day because I just don't like thinking about it after a while. I get it taken care of and then I see what everybody else is doing. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm nervous. I'm nervous. I think the rest of y'all are nervous too. So I've been thinking about things that I can do to help alleviate some stress because I know I'm not the only person that's feeling nerves. I've seen my timeline. People are really trying to figure out, hey Tay, people are really trying to figure out what to do to kind of distract themselves, find something else to focus on, trying to find coping mechanisms if things don't go the way that they want it to go tonight, tomorrow morning. So I thought that I would get on here and I would give you some of my best suggestions for things that I have used as coping mechanisms slash distractions in order to kind of take my mind off of the things that I cannot control, because the only thing I've been able to control this election cycle is my own personal vote. I do not have the ability to control the votes of other people. I've encouraged everybody in my life to vote if they can. And as far as I can tell, all of my immediate family have voted that are eligible to vote, meaning my mother, my brother, my sister, myself, even my ex husband. We've all voted. But I don't have the ability to control anybody else's um, choice in what they voted for. I don't have an ability to change anybody else's mind about what they believe, and I don't intend to. Um, I just intend to be an active participant in the project. So that being said, now that I've participated in the project that is the American election, let me tell you what I'm using to distract myself. One of the main things I'm doing to distract myself is I'm watching a ton of boys love shows. I talk about boys love on my channel quite frequently. I sometimes dedicate whole live streams to boys love, but I'm watching a ton of shows right now. Some of them I've even forgotten the name. I'm watching so many of them. I'm watching several from the Philippines. I'm watching Boys Lockdown, Gaia Sa Pelikula, Pearl Next Door, My Extraordinary. I just finished Quarren Things. And then there's a couple more series that are coming up that I will be watching. And Boy Band Love, which is not great. So those are the shows I'm watching out of the Philippines. Out of Taiwan, I'm watching a show called Craving You. Out of Japan, I'm watching a show called Cherry Magic 30 Years a Virgin Has Turned Me into a Wizard. That's the whole title. I'm also in Thailand. I'm watching Oxygen, My Gear, Your Gown. I was watching Friend Forever, but I stopped watching that. I'm watching I Told Sunset About You, and I will be watching Manner of Death, Tharn Type when those come out. And I am watching Love by Chance Season 2, A Chance to Love. So those are the shows that I'm watching to distract myself. But in addition to that, there are some shows that I've heard about, or some movies I've heard about on Netflix that I'm interested in watching. One of them is Over the Moon, which is a Chinese animated feature, which I'm really excited to watch. I haven't watched it yet, but from what I understand, it uses a bit of not Japanese, Chinese mythology in order to tell the story of a young girl who loses her mother due to illness at a young age, and her father is getting ready to be remarried, and she'll be saddled with a stepbrother, and she just can't let the memory of her mother go. So she ends up taking a trip to the moon, or yeah, I guess to the moon, to speak with a goddess about the situation to try to get her mother back. So that is a show or movie that I thought about watching. I haven't watched it yet, but it sounds really great. I know Stephanie did a bunch of horror movies for the month of October, so that was a thing that we did to distract ourselves from political news. So she watched A Cabin in the Woods, which is a great horror movie. I recommend it to so many people because it's not it is a typical horror movie in many, many ways, but it also is like just kind of clever. I really, really like it. I also had her watch Sleepaway Camp, which has a twist ending that I did not tell her about. I made her not read the comments when she watched it, and she was quite surprised by the ending of it. Sky Sapphire says she finally watched Train to Busan. Never thought I'd cry because of a zombie movie. If you've never watched Train to Busan, I highly recommend you watch it. Train to Busan it's a zombie movie. Cut and dry. It's a zombie movie. And I know for a lot of people that holds no interest to them. However, Train to Busan is very interesting because it is probably the most realistic zombie movie I've ever watched. And I watched the Brad Pitt zombie movie, not nearly as realistic as you think it would be. I've watched Shaun of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead. They're not nearly as realistic as Train to Busan, because Train to Busan, I think what makes it so realistic to me is not the zombies themselves. The zombies really are just a plot device for the narrative of the movie. What's realistic to me is the way that people react to times of stress and emergencies, and how our societal structures influence the way that we respond to these things. So like there's one character in the movie who is like a higher up person, and he uses his status in life to get himself certain benefits in the midst of a zombie apocalypse, when really it shouldn't matter what your role is in life. It should be about humanity, and his humanity doesn't mean any more than somebody else's humanity who's lower down on the social totem pole. But even in the midst of, like I said, an apocalypse, people are still enforcing these societal roles of like who deserves to be rescued as opposed to who doesn't deserve to be rescued. And I found that really interesting because that's kind of the way I imagine the apocalypse to be. Those people who are currently in power will find a way to use their powerful positions to get themselves to last longer and to get themselves in safer places than those of us who struggle with poverty and those of us who struggle with, financial insecurity. So I thought it was very interesting social commentary on top of just being a really brilliant zombie film, and a really great film about the meaning of parenthood. Man, Train to Busan's got levels. If you've never seen it, I absolutely recommend it. It's a great movie. Another great movie out of South Korea is Parasite. I know I've talked about Parasite before several times, but if you've not seen Parasite, it is a very interesting movie. Have you watched Hotel de Luna? I have not watched Hotel de Luna yet. I haven't really been watching a lot of K-dramas recently. I did watch a Korean boys love called Where Your Eyes Linger, and another one called Mr. Heart. I've watched those recently. And I am currently watching the Nine-Tailed Gummy-Ho show with Lee Dong-wook. I am 3 episodes in, so I have a lot of catching up to do for that show. But so far, I liked the female lead in the first 2 episodes. I thought she was stupid in the 3rd episode, and I'm really worried about her character progression moving forward from there. But Parasite, back to Parasite. Really great movie. Again, talks a lot about class struggles, and even though the movie is set in South Korea, and I know there's probably a lot of things in that movie that if you live in South Korea, you would have a more personal identification with than me as a person from the United States, there's still a lot of messages in that movie that are extremely universal. And if you are a fan of what I like to call woke K-pop, you should be watching Parasite. You really should, because I think a lot of the time when people look at K-pop, they tend to, if they're a casual fan, look at it in a very shallow way. But for people who are really super invested in K-pop and really care about the meaning of songs and care about the society that the music and the art is being crafted in, then you know that a lot of groups do talk about the kind of society that they're living in and the pressure that they live under. There are a lot of people involved in K-pop who came from very wealthy backgrounds, but there are a lot of people in K-pop who came from not as wealthy backgrounds, and it's a struggle to succeed. And there's kind of like a built-in advantage when you're born with a better financial kind of home life. And Parasite shows what people are willing to do to kind of leapfrog into that next level of financial security and societal prestige when those doors aren't naturally open to them. And so just kind of the setup of the first act of Parasite is extremely interesting. The second act is also really creepy and works very well as a horror movie. And then the third act, when everything kind of starts to fall apart, is also really interesting because you have to kind of ask yourself, who are the real villains in this story? So I know it seems heavy. It does seem very heavy, but I watched it in movie theaters when it came out in America. It came out in different art theaters, and me and my daughter saw it then. And then after it was released, I think on Hulu, I had my mother watch it, and she agreed it's a very well put together movie. Another movie that my mom really liked that has nothing to do with Korea is Knives Out. If you've never watched Knives Out and you are a fan of like Murder She Wrote or Matlock or any of these like old fashioned TV detective shows, you will love Knives Out. It is such a fun movie. Yes, it has a murder mystery, but it's not even about the murder. I think that what's great about Knives Out is that it really is a story about family, and it kind of keeps coming back to that. Some of the best pieces of media aren't necessarily about what they seem to be about on the surface. Just like Train to Busan is a zombie movie that's not really about zombies, it's about the humans. Just like Parasite is a movie that's really about class and society, even though it's kind of couched in this marketing as a horror movie or a thriller movie. And then the same thing with Knives Out. Knives Out is a murder mystery and very much has the hallmarks of an Agatha Christie style. And then there were none style of storytelling. Also, it is about the stories of the people involved. That's what's so wonderful about most murder mysteries is you ask yourself, like, based on what we know about these people, who seems the most likely to want to get away with committing this kind of a murder? And so that's why I definitely recommend Knives Out. It's brilliantly acted. Jamie Lee Curtis is dressed so well in that movie. I remember watching this movie thinking, that bitch is dressed. She came out, the very first scene you see her in, she's got this red suit on. It's like red pants and this red blouse. She looks like a queen. I love her. But that's another thing that I recommend for people to take a look at. Here on YouTube, I have a couple of channels that I have found to be kind of my go-to stress relief channels. Like when I just need something that's not necessarily mindless, but something that absolutely takes my mind away from current events. I find myself gravitating towards food. Food is a comfort device for me regardless. Like when I'm stressed, I eat. It's just a thing. And I must be stressed a lot because I'm a big girl. But there are some food channels here on YouTube that I really enjoy a lot. And the one I found recently that I want to recommend to everybody because I just really like the guy's content. The channel is called My Name is Andong, and Andong is spelled Andong. Now, Andong is from Berlin, and his channel is really about like not just the food that he's making and going through the process of making the food, but he also kind of gives you a little bit of a history lesson or a background about the food that he's making. He describes the process and why different steps in the recipe are important. And it's not just like randomly like insert ingredient A, stir, insert ingredient B, but he really does tell you like what's a good substitute for it, why it's important to go through this step, why it's important to do it a certain way. And I just really love how clean his videos are. Like the way it's shot, it's just very clean. He's easy to understand, even though he does have an accent because he is from Berlin. But yeah, I really recommend his channel if you're interested in food, recipes, and food history. Another channel that I've really enjoyed watching recently is a channel called Tasting History, and it's a guy who uses ancient recipe books in order to recreate recipes from antiquity, and then he gives you a history lesson in the middle as well. So those are two channels I highly recommend for people if you like that sort of thing. There are a ton of Korean food YouTubers whose names I do not know because most of the time their channels are written in Hangul. So because it's something I have to really actively work on in order to be able to translate. I often don't remember the names of their channels. But there are several Korean YouTube cooking channels that have absolutely no dialogue. And I find them to be one of the most relaxing, mind altering things to watch. So there's this one channel with a lady that literally it's just the sound of her cooking, and then after the cooking is over, it is the sound of her eating. And she does all the typical recipes. Like she does the inkigayo sandwich. I think that's what it's called. Is it called the inkigayo sandwich? But she does that sandwich. She does katsu. She does a lot of stews. She does all the things that you would typically expect out of Korean fare. But she keeps the microphone really close to wherever surface she's at. So like if she's cutting cabbage, it sounds really crisp when she sets the knife down. If she's frying something, you can hear kind of the pops and the sizzles of that. If she's slicing something, you hear the whoosh, whoosh, whoosh of the slicing. And I don't know why. I don't consider myself a big ASMR person, but I think it's the combination of both sound and visuals that I find super pleasing. And so I highly recommend Korean cooking channels because they give you exactly what you want. I don't know necessarily that mukbang is my favorite, but there are some decent mukbang channels out there. But there's something about the process of putting together food that is really satisfying to me. And I think that it's a great kind of distraction from your everyday to get lost in that curative process of making food. Another one of my favorite food YouTubers of all time, have been following her for a really long time now, is Emmy Made in Japan. Emmy Made in Japan, I think she has 2 million subscribers at this point. But I remember subscribing to her channel before she even had 1 million. And her channel is really good because she's such an enthusiastic person. Like when you watch her and she's tasting food and talking about food and making food, there's just a natural joy about her being that lifts me out of a mood that I might be in, because I kind of feel compelled to match her mood whenever I'm watching her. So she's a great channel to follow. I just really appreciate her, and I appreciate how authentic she feels. She's not, even though she's happy most of the time when she's doing things, if she doesn't like something, then she'll let you know, yeah, this is not my favorite. And I really love that about her. I also love how beautifully she speaks. And it's not about her tone of voice necessarily, even though she does have a very pleasant tone of voice. I think what I love about her is the way that she uses language. She's so incredibly descriptive, and when she's talking about something, there's a certain hint of like authority in what she says, because you feel like she doesn't use extra words when she's talking about something. When she is describing the taste of something, it's just always spot on, to the point that you feel like you understand what it is she's tasting, because she's so very good at describing the mouthfeel of it, the texture of it, the smell, the experience. She's very good at narrating her experiences. And I think that that's great for watching her channel. It's Emmy Made in Japan, so it's spelled EMMY, like the Emmy Awards, and then Made in Japan, kind of like Made in China. So it's Emmy Made in Japan, all one word. But I just really love her channel, and I cannot recommend it enough. So those are some YouTube distractions for you guys if you want to take advantage of that. The other YouTube distraction that I have, surprisingly enough, is something that should be very stressful. I have a couple of true crime channels that I watch on a very regular basis. Every Monday, I go to watch Bailey Sarian's Murder Makeup Mondays, or Murder Mystery Makeup Mondays, I think is the proper title. But she does a true crime story every Monday, except for I think she takes one Monday off a month. But she does a true crime story, and she puts on makeup while she's narrating this true crime story. So it's kind of like a podcast, but at the same time it is a YouTube video. And she talks about it in such a conversational way that it really draws you into the story. So she'll be talking about something and she'll be like, that's gross, right? Or she'll be like, I'm so sorry I'm laughing. It's just that when I get nervous, I have nervous laughter. Don't you too? And I just find her personality to be extremely charming. Also, she's gorgeous and she is a brilliant makeup artist. Like the looks that she puts together by the time she's through talking, we're talking world class makeup looks. So I really enjoy her channel quite a bit. Another channel that I watch that I don't think a lot of people have keyed in on, but it's something that as a person who enjoys true crime, I like that his format is so very different. It's a channel called That Chapter. So it's THAT, that, and then chapter. And I really like his channel because he takes cases that are modern cases. He doesn't do stuff that happened like way back in the past. He picks stuff that happens, I would say, in the last 20 to 30 years. And the reason why he does true crime that happened in the last 20 to 30 years is because he inserts clips from news channels and interrogations in order to tell the story. So he narrates quite a bit of the story, but he inserts drone footage from the city or county where the crime took place. He doesn't show like dead bodies and stuff, which I very much appreciate that. I don't need to see that. You can keep that where it is. But if they interrogate the suspect, he puts in the interrogation footage along with captions so you can follow what's being said. If there was a news report, he'll put in like, live on the 6 o'clock news, there was a body found on the 600 block of Carefree. He does that kind of thing. So you really feel almost like you're watching it in real time. And it makes it so much more enjoyable because now it's not just somebody spinning a tale. Like you really can see the suspect, you can see how the people around them were affected, and I don't know, it just makes it to where I'm entering somebody else's universe and I can have emotions directed at a person rather than emotions directed at the world. So I really, really like his show a lot. Also, he's got a very thick accent. I'm not sure where in the British Isles he's from, but he's somewhere in that whole United Kingdom area, and so his accent is really funny. I was watching most of the channels you're recommending. Yeah, well, there's some stuff that we all watch. A channel that I quit watching just because I don't know, I just found the content started to get a little bit lame. Hey Jade, I quit watching Try Guys. I used to watch a lot of the Try Guys, especially when they first left BuzzFeed. I watched them quite a bit, but I don't know if it's just because maybe the quarantine is getting to them or whatever else, but I just haven't had an interest in the Try Guys recently. I don't know why. It's just one of those things. I quit watching them as much. There's a YouTube channel here that is an unboxing channel that I highly recommend, Dear 10. It's Dear and then 10 is spelled in Hangul, but she's a young lady that I did Secret Santa with a couple years ago, I guess. And I really, really love the channel. One, because she was my Secret Santa, so that was awesome. But two, just she does a lot of different stuff on her channel, and I really enjoy that a lot. Like, it's not just unboxing an album or unboxing a stack of albums, like go shopping with me. Also, this is my anime haul. Also, these are the boys love shows I'm watching. And I really love the variety of the channel. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy channels that have a singular focus. Like that chapter that I was just talking about, it's singularly true crime. But in terms of the K-pop unboxing community, I know a lot of the people who are the bigger names and they have really big followings because people expect a certain thing from them. And what I really like about Dear 10's channel is that the only thing I ever expect from her channel is a really clean voice. That's it. I don't expect anything else. Whatever it is she has to offer, I just want to watch. And again, I'm always going to say this because it needs to be said. Alondra, who's here on the live stream, her channel is K Hip Hop, K R&B Enthusiast. Go check her out. I love her channel. She has the best K hip hop, K R&B collection on YouTube. And I say that as somebody with my own rather substantial collection, Her collection is the best you're going to find on YouTube. It is extremely well curated. It is filmed in a way that makes it current and fresh and modern, with the music from the album playing in the background, so you can have an idea whether or not this is something you want to pursue. And because so much of this music goes out of print very, very quickly, I really love the fact that her channel stands as kind of this museum of albums that a lot of you will never get your hands on. So I definitely recommend her channel if you're wanting to get more involved with, like, what would I like in K-hip hop? What would I like in K-R&B? Because she definitely gives you a good sampler case for a lot of things. I was asked if I read any webtoons. Yes, I do. I do read webtoons. I read webtoons on Webtoons. I don't read anything on Leeshin, because you have to pay for a lot of stuff on Leeshin. I'm not reading a lot of stuff on Webtoons. I'm reading True Beauty, which is going to be turned into a K-drama soon. I'm reading, what is it called? It's not called The God of Love and Death. It's called something else very similar to it, but it's like a weird kind of shitposty crack style cartoon, and I just really enjoy it. I'm reading another one called The Doctors Are Out, and it's kind of a boys love webtoon, but it's drawn very beautifully, which is why I enjoy the updates for that one. And then I'm also reading a webtoon called The Boxer, which is not like anything I've ever read before. It's a sports webtoon, and it's about boxing, but it's not about boxing. Like, they talk about technique and things like that, but it's mostly about the psychology of the people who enter the ring and how the results of what happens in the ring changes the psychology of the person who's in the ring. So yeah, that's what I read on Webtoons. So I do read some Webtoons as a distraction. Of course, I stay in these AO3 streets. I read a lot of fan fiction. I don't read as much as I used to. Like, I used to be able to knock out 3 or 4 stories a night. I'm not like that anymore because I have so many shows to watch. But I still definitely read a lot of fan fiction. Recently, I've been reading a lot of fan fiction for The Untamed, only because I've only made it to, I think, episode 11 of The Untamed, and I want to make it through the entire show, but I've kind of lost my enthusiasm for it. So I've been trying to read a lot of fan fiction to kind of put me back in the game. So that's one of the things that I've been doing to kind of pep myself up a little bit. Music I'm listening to, of course, I've listened to the new Ariana Grande album, and I feel super sad because all of my favorite songs off of the new Ariana Grande album are no one else's favorite songs. I was looking at this list on Twitter where somebody was like, these are the rankings of the 14 songs on the album. And the songs that I like were like literally the bottom. So my favorite song on the album, I believe, might be Obvious. And if you've not listened to the album, hello Tarian. If you've not listened to the album yet, I recommend listening to Obvious if you are a fan of K-hip hop and K-R&B, because Obvious sounds like it should have a Dean or a Crush feature. Hand to God, it sounds like it should have a Dean or a Crush feature. Love Language is another one of my favorite songs. It's very much 90s house style, which I really appreciate, but it does have some weird kind of key changes to it, and I think that's the reason why a lot of people don't vibe with it. Another song I really like is My Hair. It's got a very neo soul sound to it, and I think a lot of people were taken back by it, but like when I listen to My Hair, I definitely feel kind of that neo soul Jill Scotty vibe from it, even though we're talking Ariana Grande, which is not what I expected, but I'm very pleasantly surprised. POV, while not my favorite style of song because it's a little bit more ballady than what I normally gravitate to, the latter part of POV has some of Ariana Grande's most sincere vocals. Like, she's a great singer. She never sounds bad. Me and Stephanie have seen her live. She sounds like she ate the record. But she's very breathy on a lot of the songs that are her hit songs. And so when you hear her sing POV, there's just kind of a rawness to her voice, and it's not as polished towards the end. And I don't know, it's very welcoming. It feels very fresh and kind of stripped back, even though it's a very well produced song. And so I really enjoy that, and I encourage more people to listen to her music. This is Stephanie.
Hi.
I'm not sure why she decided to get on camera, but she just is. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. Glad to hear it. I'm trying to think. What is an album that you recommend for everybody to listen to, K-pop or otherwise,
K-pop.
or otherwise? Everyone's saying hello to you.
Hi. You should listen to the new Everglow stuff.
Okay. So she's saying the new Everglow. I highly recommend Twice's "Can't Stop Me." I just love that song.
Mom's been on a retro
Woo!
80s kick with hip hop, K-pop.
I cannot help it. I Can't Stop Me is probably the top song of the year for me. Tarian says, yay, another Everglow fan. But yeah, there's something about the chorus of Can't Stop Me that just, I love that song. I love that song. Could listen to it all day long. It's a great song. It's a great song. So there are some really good K-pop albums and K-pop content that people should really get into. So definitely you need to be listening to K-pop right now. K-pop is so good in 2020. It is obscene how good K-pop is right now.
My mom still really likes When We Disco.
When We Disco is a perfect song. I don't know why. I don't know why international fans hate JYP so much that they will deprive themselves of the good song. Why? Why do you let your hate keep you from having fun? Yeah, I think I Can't Stop Me might be my second favorite Twice song ever. And that's high praise. That's really high praise. Like, nothing will ever beat TT. Let's just be honest here. For me, TT's just too good. It's a twerk anthem. I love TT.
I don't twerk to TT.
I do.
Who twerks to TT?
The chorus of TT is made for twerking. I'm like TT, ooh, just like TT. Okay, I'm the only one then. But anyway.
You don't twerk to that song.
I love it. But yeah, I Can't Stop Me might be the second best song ever that Twice has done, because I love it. I love it. A lot. I love it. So yeah, girl groups have been really. See, Tay says twerks to TT, so there we go.
I don't get the vibes. Like I have to. The song has to have a certain vibe.
Yeah,
for it to warrant booty shaking.
I don't know. It's just me. It to me, TT sounds kind of like Miami Bounce music, which is the reason why I can do it. So it is what it is. But I find that K-pop music just in 2020 has been amazing. The year started off right, and it just never stopped. And I've enjoyed so much. Now, I haven't heard some of the new rookie groups, the rookie groups that I have not heard so far this year. I have not listened to an entire Gravity project. I'm sorry. I've heard a single, but I've
Gravity.
Gravity is the new boy group from Starship, I believe. I have not heard the Drippin' group because I am diametrically opposed to the name Dripping. Don't like the name. Sorry. So I need to listen to it one day, but it's just been very difficult for me. And then I also have not heard P1 Harmony yet. I'm so sorry. I probably should, but I haven't. And I haven't listened to We. Now, most of the groups I just mentioned are groups that are affiliated with Produce 101, and there's just a lot of content that's been coming out of Produce 101 that it's really been hard for me to keep up with everything. Please stop doing that, because it's coming out of the corner of my eye and it's very distracting. I'm sorry, she's doing this number and I just can't. So I've had a hard time keeping up with the new boy groups, but the boy groups that have been out already have been wonderful. Like ATEEZ had a great project this year. I really, really enjoyed it. There's been some other boy projects that came out this year that I really liked as well. I think the only boy project that I bought this year that I wasn't a fan of after I got it, Super M. And that's not me being shady. I love Taemin. Taemin's new album, Never Gonna Dance Again, Act 1, I really, really liked quite a bit. But I was not a fan of Super M's full length album. And I think the reason I wasn't a fan of Super M's full length album is because I felt like I couldn't connect with some of the middle tracks. Some of the tracks from the end of the album I really liked a lot, but the tracks in the middle, I couldn't find the hook. I couldn't find the hook. And I listened to it with Stephanie. And I remember being in the car saying like, I don't know who this is for. I really don't. Um there's a lot of K-pop I'm still trying to catch up on. I feel like we get 3 new K-pop albums every week. And it's just really hard when you have this much content to try to listen to everything. So I've pledged my allegiance to certain favorites, and I've been trying to keep up with them, and I've been trying to keep up with K-hip hop, but it's really hard for me to keep up with some of the rest of it. So there's a lot of stuff you guys are mentioning that I just really haven't had a chance to listen to yet. So I apologize, but I do work for a living. And like I mentioned all this other stuff that I watch and I read and everything else, so sometimes I don't get all of the K-pop things. I'm so sorry. But those are the struggles of a multi.
Also, if you're doing like American pop, there are 3 albums you should have listened to this year. You should have listened to Future Nostalgia by Dua Lipa. That's a must, or I guess music in English. Future Nostalgia, the album by Dua Lipa, Sawayama by Rina Sawayama, and Ungodly Hour by Chloe and Halle.
Those are good albums. Those are good albums. Good music by women for sure. I think of the 3 that you mentioned, the one that I consistently enjoyed the most was probably the Chloe and Halle album, even though it kind of, if you listen to it all together, it kind of feels a little bit one note. But yeah.
Really? I didn't get that.
Yeah, it kind of all bleeds together if you listen to it like all in one go. But if you listen to it like split it up a little bit, things start to differentiate and it's nice. Dua Lipa's album is good, but there are a couple of tracks in the Dua Lipa album that I'm thinking, I could do away with this one. Like the very last track, is it called Girls or Women?
Boys will be boys.
I didn't like that song. Did not like that song.
Sorry. I mean, I listened to some of the Victoria Monet songs, but I haven't got around to listening to all of Jaguar.
Okay.
I think I did like the Chloe and Halle one, but also the Rena one was really good.
Yeah, I think the album that I was the most disappointed in on the American side of things was The Weeknd's album.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed with The Weeknd's album because I love Blinding Lights. I don't kind of like Blinding Lights. I love Blinding Lights. It is my song of the year. Like, out of all the songs I've heard this year, it is the one that has stuck with me like glue. It has stuck with me like white on rice. I love that song. And I like Heartless too, even though the lyrics to the beginning of Heartless completely don't match. Like, yeah. Never need a bitch, I'm what a bitch needs. Looking for the one who will fix me. Sir, I thought you said you didn't need a bitch. Now you're looking for one to fix you. What is it? Make up your mind. But anyway, the rest of the album, in my opinion, I kind of think it's the same thing. It's a little bit one note, and some of the songs, the lyrics are trash.
I like that song.
There's one song like, I told myself if I wasn't a hit by 18, I was going to kill myself. Like, that's like the way the song opens. It's like, bro, come on now. It's 2020. You can't be talking like this. Anyway, yeah, I really liked Blinding Lights, but I can't say that I was a fan of the complete album. So sorry. Somebody said I should listen to Suyeon's Alien song. I have listened to the Alien song. I thought it was good. It has kind of a retro, kind of disco-y vibe to me. It reminded me of a Jamiroquai song that I used to like a long time ago called Little L. Jamiroquai. Hey, Mason. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you could be watching that is a great distraction from what's going on. So I've given you kind of a list of the things that are my go-tos.
You should watch Umbrella Academy.
think a lot of people are. Stephanie has enjoyed The Queen's Gambit. I haven't watched any Western
It's
shows.
pretty good.
Like, I have not watched a single Western show this year.
One that I heard was good, even though it's kind of a kid's show, is Julie and the Phantoms, but I haven't finished it yet.
Mm. And then I've heard terrible and great things about Emily in Paris. Like, seriously, the bag has been so fucking mixed. Like, there's this one guy on YouTube who I don't like his videos, and I try to avoid them at all cost if I can. I think his channel is called Hot Lamode or Hot Lamond.
Oh, I've heard of him.
Like, literally his whole channel is about him shitting on people's fashion tastes.
Well, I mean, fashion people do like to critique
Yeah, but
fashion.
it's like the stuff he critiques, to me, it's not the criticism is not constructive. The criticism seems like it comes from a place of bitterness and meanness rather than like actual fashion critique. But I digress.
Some people
I
like
ended up
that.
watching his review of Emily in Paris, and he was like, the show's great, but the fashion is trash. Meanwhile, I've seen other reviews saying the show is trash and the fashion makes no sense. So I don't know. I don't know what to think of Emily in Paris. I've tried not to watch it, but I think the reason why it came up on my timeline and the reason I'm even talking about it now is because one of my favorite shows in the entire world is Sex and the City. I actually have the entire run of Sex and the City on DVD.
I don't even know what it's about.
I bought
but my mom
every
has
single season. Every single season
I heard
of
Shira
Sex and the
was
City.
good.
First of all, Sex and the City, the best character on the entire show, her name is Samantha, which is my name. So I
no
think
wonder she's very confident and self-assured.
and nasty. But yeah, Samantha is my favorite character on Sex and the City, but I also love all the other characters as well, because if it wasn't for them, there'd be no plot. So, you know, I love Charlotte, even though Charlotte's kind of a dingbat. I still love her anyway.
Which one does Sarah Jessica Parker play?
Carrie. Yeah, she plays Carrie. Carrie would be likable if she wasn't so damn boy crazy, but outside of that... Okay, so just a little prep for anybody who's considering watching Sex and the City, because I realize that I'm 41 years old, and I was watching Sex and the City when the show was currently airing. So at this point, I want to say like the first season of Sex and the City may be close to 20 years old. So it came out a long time ago. So if you're a younger person and you've never seen Sex and the City, you've only ever heard of it, that's okay. That's cool. It's really old media. And I'm going to be quite honest with you. If you were to do a rewatch of it today,
it does not hold up.
A lot of it don't hold up. A lot of it is just woo! If you're woke, it will stun you with how incredibly insensitive a lot of it is. But if you can get past that, and if you can get past, I would say the first 1.5 seasons, the rest of the show is actually pretty great in terms of like the dynamics of friendships. Because sometimes the friends just fucking fall out. Miranda
sounds like Insecure.
Miranda is a character in Sex and the City that, honestly, if I was trying to relate to somebody in real life, she would be the person I would relate to the most. She is a woman who is about her business. She doesn't really feel like she needs a man, but she does, Miranda. But she does want to be desired. She's like, I may not need a man, but I do want to feel like if I wanted a man or desired to have a man, I would be entitled to have one, and that I don't have to go through all these crazy hoops in order to be qualified to be somebody's love interest. And I really related that with Miranda. Like, she doesn't want to be told how to live her life to be more acceptable to other people. She wants people to embrace her for who she is and how she is. And I really appreciate that, especially because she's so incredibly smart. But Miranda's also incredibly judgmental about other people, which is why
Mom describing herself.
I am. And that is the reason why I love Miranda. Because Miranda doesn't want to be judged, but she sits in judgment of so many other people. And to be honest with you, that's a lot of us. Oh, you know, that's a lot of us. A lot of us don't want to be
bit.
a lot of us don't want to be judged, but we like to rant about how we feel about other people. That's Miranda. Cynthia Nixon plays Miranda. So like when we sit up here and we watch these, you know, YouTube dissections of things, that's a lot of judgment. And we like it and we watch it. That's why drama channels do so well, because we like judgment.
An hour-long video roasting Jeffree Star.
I'm telling you, D'Angelo Wallace, his channel is brilliant. He's a great YouTuber. I love his channel. I love his videos. But at the same time, there's a certain level of judgment that has to be involved in order to do these deep dives on these different YouTube celebrities. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. Because you're judging whether their behavior is right or if it's wrong, if they're a liar or if they're telling the truth, if they're consistent or inconsistent. There's judgment involved there. And I think that's kind of a thing that all of us as human beings struggle with. We don't want to be judged, but we feel comfortable laying in judgment of other people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just me, it's all of us. But Miranda, I think she is a better example of that than most people can be. But if you are somebody who doesn't want to be judged at all and you don't expect anybody else to judge you, identify with Samantha. She's a great character.
You mean Miranda?
No, Samantha. Miranda's the realest character, but Samantha's the best.
How?
Because Samantha just be throwing pussy wherever she wants it to land, and she won't take anybody's criticism of it.
And you said Carrie was the boy crazy.
Carrie's boy crazy because she wants to be in a relationship. Like, she's constantly chasing after the dream. Whereas Samantha's like, I just want to have fun. I can take care of my own bills. I do my own thing. I'm highly successful. I'm very secure in myself. I just want to have fun. And it's really there's not a lot of female characters that are written in the same way you'd write a male character. And that's where the thrust of Samantha's problems in the show are. Samantha very much is written like a male character, like in terms of her behaviors and kind of the way she goes through life. However, she's constantly being judged by the people around her for acting the way your typical bachelor character would act, but being a woman.
Like what do you mean?
Like, she gets kicked out of a building because she had brought a lot of guys home, different guys. And somebody snuck into the elevator at this building she was living in, and they robbed somebody in the building. So she got kicked out of her building because of the fact that she brings too many strangers into the building. Now, if she had been a guy, it would have just been considered a coincidence if a guy was bringing home different women every weekend. So that's the reason why I love Samantha, because even when that happened, she's like, all right, well, then I'm just going to find the next hottest place in the city, and I'm going to set up my bachelor pad there, because fuck you, I do what I want. So I love Samantha. She's my fave. Love her. I sound like I'm talking about myself. I sound so incredibly shallow.
It's fine. There have been a couple Stephanie characters that I've liked.
Yeah, well, there's not a ton of Samanthas in media.
There's not a lot of Stephanies.
Yeah, so like when you get a good one, you kind of hold on tight. You're like, this is the one for me.
Even though Stephanie from Full House was okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and something that I'm into in terms of just kind of a resurgence in pop culture and something that gives me vast amounts of happiness. I'm really happy and I'm really into the fact that 90s sensibilities and aesthetics are coming back. I loved being a teenager in the 90s. I'm so sorry that you guys had to have your teens when you did in the 2010s, because you totally fucking missed out. I had teen life in the 90s, and it was the best.
She got MTV and The Real World.
I got it all.
And she got to experience Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears.
I almost literally got to watch them grow up because I watched them from the time they were on the Mickey Mouse Club to the time that they were respectively NSYNC and Britney Spears, and then when it was Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears, like I got to watch the whole thing from the Genesis practically, and I'm really glad to see a lot of 90s stuff come back. Like I'm really excited that, especially when it comes to black girls, I'm really happy to see them bring back like the styles from Brandy when she was Moesha and Living Single and Aaliyah and a lot of that kind of 90s aesthetic and Little Kim and Foxy Brown and all these characters that were like luminaries for me during my teen years. To see those styles come back, it really makes me happy. I'm really, really happy about that. And so, I don't know, it's just been a thing that when I see it on my timeline, when I see people reposting TikToks onto Twitter and it's of these black girls dressing in 90s fashion and doing like TikToks to 90s songs, it just makes me feel really happy because it was a really important part of my life, and it's nice to see it embraced again because for a while there it felt like it was forgotten, and I think people forgot how beautiful the 90s were. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you kids don't look great today. You absolutely do. But I this is the thing that keeps me from makeup YouTube. I'm just gonna talk to you about it.
The controversy.
There's too much makeup in makeup YouTube. Like when people do a face, it is okay. First, we're going to pluck our eyebrow, then we're going to put on our eyebrow cream, then we're going to fill it in, and then we're going to do some stray hairs, and then we're going to clean it up, and then we're going to put on our primer, and then we're going to do our highlighter, and then we're going to do our contour, and then we're going to bake, and then we're going to do 5 different layers of eyeshadow. We're going to do a wing. We're going to do a little something in the corner. We're going to add a lash. We're going to add 3 different lipsticks on, and then setting spray for the whole thing. Like when you watch a makeup tutorial now, the reason why that shit takes 30 minutes is because it took them an hour and a half to film if they didn't take breaks, because there's so many layers to makeup now. And when I look back at the 90s and I think about my own process in the 90s, because I actually did wear makeup in high school. I stopped wearing it after I got out of high school. Yeah, I remember operating with 2 pieces of makeup throughout my entirety of high school.
Lip and nose. Wait, lip and cheek.
Lip and eye. Literally, when I was in high school, all you needed was a black eyeliner pencil, and you needed either a clear gloss or a brown gloss, and that would get you through your entire day, because you could use your black eyeliner to do your eye, to like do your wing. Some girls are fancy and they use mascara, but you didn't have to. And then you would use your black eyeliner and you would go ahead and like outline your lips and then fill it in with your gloss. Good to go.
Well, she also lived in El Paso.
That is true.
Where the style was very minimalistic.
Yes, but it worked.
Like,
but like a good lip gloss and a cat eye can get you through anything you need to get through. You don't need all that contour, baby. Your face is fine. You don't have to paint on a brand new nose. You ain't got to do it. There's a channel I really like called Black Femininity TV. I don't like her channel, Tarian. I'm so sorry.
Oh.
I tried to watch her channel. I didn't like it. I'm so sorry. I find her to be extremely judgmental and kind of a Me Too a little bit, but that's okay.
What is a Me Too?
No, it's not Me Too. What's it called?
Pick Me?
Pick Me. Thank you.
For a second, I'm like, what do you mean?
Pick Me.
Because I was like, well, being
oh, Lasra, I'm so glad me and your mom are the same person. She said, literally my mom's makeup routine today. But yeah. I think that's why I haven't gotten into makeup YouTube, because there's just too much. Also, let's talk about this as well, because again, it's not about the drama, it's about the actual fundamentals of makeup. So another thing that draws me away from, come on, get in the screen. The other thing that draws me away from makeup YouTube is the fact that it's all about the brand new products and the access and glut of products. So when you watch a tutorial, it's always like, and now I have the new Jeffree Star Cosmetics palette, or this is the new ColourPop drop, or this is the new whatever else. It's always the new whatever else. It's very rarely about people buying a palette and then doing 1,000 different looks with the same palette, which is what makeup YouTube used to be. It used to be about finding those products that were the best products that gave you the most wear and were the most versatile, and then making tons of looks from all these different products. Now, what happens is that people buy the product and they make one look using the product, and then the next video is the next look using the next product. And the look is all about creating a look out of the product rather than considering a look and then finding the products to match the look. And because of that, it's just really hard to relate to makeup YouTube, because people have like 15 different products that they use in order to create their look. And I can't get into it. I cannot get into it. Especially when, like they'll get an eyeshadow palette that has, let's just say the eyeshadow palette has 9 colors to it, because usually they have like 9 colors, and they'll find a way to use 6 of those colors on their eye. Who really is getting out the house wearing 6 different eyeshadow colors? I'm not. I gotta get out the house. In the morning, I got maybe an hour to try to get like my ass washed and get out the door. Oh, your mom's only a year older than, or you're younger than me. I'm older than your mom. Yay! I'm an old bitch. I'm an old bitch.
She's not that old.
I am now officially in my 40s. Like before, I was just a 40-year-old. Now I'm like into the 40s. So I'm a little bit older than the rest of y'all. Things I'm looking forward to, since we're still talking about distractions. I'm looking forward to the new BTS release this month. Is it this month? Yeah, it's this month, right? B's coming out this month. Time fucking flies. I've already pre-ordered that thing. I pre-ordered it on Weverse, so I'm waiting to see what happens when that comes in. But yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm very disappointed about the fact that I was not able to get the vinyl for the single. Let me tell you a little story about me and a vinyl. So I bought the vinyl for Dynamite and the cassette for Dynamite when it came out on the Orchard's website. And I did a little review about it. And when I did the review about it, I mentioned that the vinyl was like just a really bad press. Like it was literally only pressed on one side. And I didn't think anything of it. And then one of my subscribers reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to sell it. And I sold it for like basically what I paid. I didn't really sell it for anything extra. I go on fucking eBay and that shit is selling for like $100. And I'm like, wow. Not that I would have asked for more. I probably would have just kept it maybe, but I wouldn't have done anything different. Like I'm not one of those people that tends to try to price gouge people. But I'm like, this is ridiculous that people are paying $100 for this thing when this looks like this cost them all of $2.50 to make. And it doesn't make any sense to me why they wouldn't just print more of them when it cost them virtually no money. Well, they did the drop for the single, I think on Monday maybe. That thing sold out before the day was over. I want to say it sold out like in the first hour or 2 hours, the vinyl for the new one. And I just don't understand it, because if the Orchard is printing it and they print it like they did Dynamite, it's going to be a terrible print. Like I can tell you exactly what it's going to look like. It is going to be a sleeve that's going to have a title in the front. In the back, it's going to have like copyright information. There's going to be no pictures. There's not even going to be like an album sleeve, like the paper sleeve to take it out. There's not going to be any lyrics to it, and it's only going to be printed on one side. They had a cassette you could buy too, but I didn't buy the cassette because there was nothing to it. Nothing to it. And I don't understand why they're making it to where the people who can scalp you for money and the people who price gouge fans have more opportunities to do so. Like, I was actually really happy that BTS and Big Hit decided to, I keep saying BTS, but really I should say Big Hit. I was really excited that Big Hit decided to reprint School Love Affair Special Edition, because it had some extra songs that hadn't been in print for quite a while, And it's just a really nice set of packaging. I was disappointed about the fact that they didn't do enough to differentiate the presses, so they look very, very similar, which takes away from the people who maybe paid extra to buy that album during the 6 years it was out of print. But overall, I was just happy with the availability, because I was like, okay, maybe Big Hit realizes it's not a great idea to make stuff super limited, because other people are able to make a lot of money off of the scarcity of the item. But then they turn around and they do the same thing with these vinyl presses of these singles. And it's just like, be consistent. If you're going to stop allowing people to price gouge fans over rare items, don't set up that opportunity by, what the hell are you doing to your eye?
Nothing.
Okay, anyway, don't give them the opportunity to price gouge fans by making things so freaking limited, because the Orchard could print more presses of Dynamite vinyl if they wanted to. They absolutely could. There's nothing to stop them. They could print more of the latest single if they wanted to. There's nothing to stop them other than them just not wanting to do it. And that really sucks. Also, Big Hit, if I can talk to you for just a quick second, not too long, I'm not going to keep your ear. Please find another company to do your vinyl presses. Please find another company to do your vinyl presses. The vinyl press for Dynamite was not great. The shipping was scary, to be quite kind. It was scary the way that they packed it, with virtually no bubble wrapping. They put it in an envelope. It was actually didn't have any bubble wrapping. It was just like a cardboard envelope. So that thing could have got bent in the mail. Like, it was scary how little protection was put on sending it in the mail. So if I had a criticism, it'd be, find somebody to do a better job with your pressing. I realize you want to keep the cost down because it's a single, but you know that there's a market for these things, so you don't have to cheap it out. You can definitely spend more money, but do that, because it's a shame what they're releasing in y'all's name. It really is a shame. The fans want to buy it. You should definitely make it towards a better quality.
But if people are ranting, boy, we were talking about this earlier. I think, okay, so the conversation started on Halloween, because I watched Jennifer's Body, and I liked it, by the way. But my mom was like, I feel like that guy who plays the lead singer in the movie is a jerk, because he usually plays jerk roles. So I'm like, that's weird. And then later on, I'm just thinking, I saw Armie Hammer said some dumb stuff. I don't know what. I don't remember. It was something that made me temporarily, I don't know what. But I'm like, yeah, you're right. I think that theory is correct, because Armie Hammer said some out-of-pocket things, but he plays jerks in a lot of movies and TV shows, which makes me think people that play jerks a lot in movies and TV shows are probably jerks.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some really talented actors and actresses out there who do the damn thing, and they're able to completely morph their personality in order to play characters. Like Meryl Streep, no one plays cold like Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep, she plays ice cold if you want her to. But she can also play super loving and super kind and super matronly if she needs to. Like, she's a chameleon. She disappears in every role that she does. But there are certain people that they play the same character over and over again.
That part Meryl Streep played in Big Little Lies. Oh, it was amazing. I'm sorry. I need to stop talking about Big Little Lies. What were you saying?
Well, I was going to say, like, I think for some people who consistently play the same evil ass person over and over and over again, at that point, are you acting, or are you just kind of being yourself?
Well, I know I'm not the only one who's been craving these tacos.
I don't know why you read notifications. I don't. I ignore them. But yeah, like, I think a lot of times it's just easier to play the jerk if you don't have to work too hard to be the jerk. And it sucks. It sucks that, like, those people keep getting opportunities to do work. Like, you know who played an asshole who turned out to be an asshole?
Who?
The dad from Beetlejuice.
Nothing's coming to mind.
You've never watched the movie Beetlejuice?
I've watched, but like I don't
The
remember.
guy who played the dad in Beetlejuice. He was also
what he looks like.
He was also the vice principal in Ferris Bueller's Day Out.
I've never watched that movie.
That's fine. These are old movies. Anyway, he always played like kind of an asshole. Turns out he's a child predator.
He is.
Yeah, and it's like, you were an asshole all along. Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey does a great villain. And on House of Cards, he was the supreme villain. Turns out he's super rapey McRaperson. And so it's just like...
Not rapey McRaperson.
Yeah. Allegedly. The charges were dropped because of lack of evidence. But I'm saying all that to say that, yeah, sometimes I don't think people...
Yeah.
Yes, Jeffrey Jones. Thank you. Like, sometimes people aren't playing. Like, sometimes people are just being themselves. They're like, yeah, I'm an actor. Wink, wink. So, I don't know. It feels weird to me.
Yeah.
Well, Stephanie, you got anything you want to talk to people about before we go?
If you, have fun. Life's too short to not do things that you want to do. I know some people have like tight schedules and weird work hours because of COVID, and even when there wasn't COVID, they still had weird tight work hours, but take some time out of the day to do what you like to do, whatever that is, because you're important and you should be important to yourself because you only have yourself.
I think that's a great closing remark. I highly agree. In fact, that's the whole point of this live stream, was to find the things that can give you joy in the midst of anxiety. It's tough out here. I'm not going to go into specifics because we all got our own situations, but it's tough out here. And it can all be a little bit too much at times. But you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be healthy. You deserve to find those things that create joy for you, and things that create joy for you that aren't harmful to you. Because honestly, sometimes the stuff that makes us happy is harmful for us. I eat a lot, and I've had to really monitor what I eat and not eat as much junk food because junk food is harmful to me. I watch a lot of true crime, but I try to avoid certain types of true crime content that puts me in a depressive state. I like a lot of K-pop music, but I have to be very careful about what I allow myself to read on the timeline, because once you start getting into that spiral of arguing with people online and everything else, it can totally turn your head around. So yeah, you deserve to be happy. You deserve to find the things that make you happy. And you deserve, overall, not to be an asshole to others, but you deserve. So with that in mind, thank you guys for watching. I hope this was an adequate distraction for a lot of you. I hope that you are able to take some of my recommendations. And if you have recommendations for things that you think that we should be looking at, watching, listening to, and the like, you're more than welcome to leave them below. But yeah, just take care of yourselves, guys. I want us all to be back here come November 5th. So just please take care of yourself. Find those things that give you joy. Marie Kondo your life. Lay hands on everything. And if it don't spark joy, keep it fucking moving. Marie Kondo your life. So, you guys take care. Bye.
Bye.